Hey guys, real quick before we start the video, we have a sale on the website. Go and check it out. There's so much new stuff on. Just go have a look. Use code SALE30 at checkout to get 30% off your order, and let's get into the video. Pitch fun ideas for Meiji Japan setting. What would you put in it? Hard mode? No samurai.
So this is something that I feel like a lot of people are going to be, oh, what are you guys talking about? It's like, I actually really like feudal Japan. I'm actually really interested in it, even though we like to slag off weebs like 24/7.
You know, some aspects can be kind of cool.
No, they do. Like, let's be serious. Out of all Asian cultures, Japanese is by far the most interesting.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there. So, let's just jump into it. It's a really interesting time in Japanese history. It's the end of feudalism, and it's not often that you see a culture kill its own culture for the sake of progress. But maybe we're saying that in this day and age in Western societies, but like that may be a bit too schizo. But let's just get into this thread, will we?
Skeletal giants that wander around the countryside in the darkest hours of the night. They are 15 times larger than an average person. Their teeth chatter and bones rattle, but they are not always noisy. If they should happen upon a human out late on the roads. Oh.
Like, guys, we're going to have a lot of wee words, and please forgive us.
The Gasha Dokuro will silently creep up and catch their victims, crushing them in their hands or biting off their head. Soldiers whose bodies rot in the fields and victims of famine who die unknown in the wilderness rarely receive proper funerary rites, unable to pass on. Their souls are reborn as ghosts, longing eternally for that which they once had. These people die with anger and pain in their hearts. That energy remains long after their flesh has rotted from their bones. As their bodies decay, their anger ferments into a grudge against the living, which twists them into a supernatural force. When the bones of hundreds of victims gather together into one mass, they form a humongous skeletal monster known as a Gashadokuro. Too large and powerful to be killed, Gashadokuro maintain their existence until the energy and malice stored up in their bones has completely burnt out. However, because of the large amount of dead bodies required to form a single one, these abominations are rarer today than they were in the past, when wars and famine were a part of everyday life.
I really like this one. You know what this reminds me of?
You're going to hear that a lot through this. I really like this one.
Yeah, no, but you know the problem is I really like doing world building threads for videos, but they never really get many views.
Yeah.
A lot of time people aren't really as interested in them as the really out there story times, but I love a bit of world building. But what this reminds me of is, I'm sure everyone's played it, you remember The Witcher, what do you call the babies? The botchlings.
Botchling, yeah.
There's something about, I love the idea of a tortured soul not being able to pass over, and therefore
they're stuck
it lingers.
in purgatory.
Yeah, or it twists and becomes corrupted. I always love these types of monsters, and they're really common. There's so many different talents. They're kind of like vampires almost when it comes to undead.
Yeah. Oni are a nice variation on orcs. They are portrayed as different from other kinds of yokai, in that Oni are always flesh and blood.
Why, what is it?
No, it's just, my pronunciation of some words is horrendous, and I'm sure you guys know.
Let's be serious, they may as well be made up words. Everyone knows Japan's not real.
Very tough, but still killable by a sword. They are usually hideous and huge, with horns, claws, wild hair, and tusks. Their skin is usually red, blue, or green, sometimes black or yellow. They have a third eye on their forehead. Usually they carry studded or spiked iron clubs called kanabu, and wear loincloths made of pelts of great beasts. Hell is full of Oni. They dish out horrible punishments such as peeling off skins, crushing bones, and rendering other torments too horrible to describe. They make up the armies of the great generals of the underworld. Occasionally, when a human is so utterly wicked that his soul is beyond any redemption, he transforms into an Oni while still alive. He then remains on Earth to terrorize the living. Children are told stories of how Oni can eat people in a single gulp.
I actually really, really like Oni. They're one of the few monsters that I don't think there's enough of. Also, we sell some really beautiful Oni models.
Really nice
and we've
Oni
also
models.
got a sale on. But no, honestly, they do look really nice. And I do think Oni are particularly cool because they blend almost so many different Western
I don't think
monsters.
they're used enough.
Well, honestly, they're kind of like a weird hybrid between demons, trolls, orcs,
yeah,
and they do have a lot of magic as well.
Yeah.
I think they're really cool. I love the look of them, and I think they've got something going on. I would love to see a bit more of them. You know what I really like? This is one of the things that really draws me, I think, to Shadowrun, and I really want to play a game of Shadowrun in the future. It's just everyone knows the system is not playable by any means. It's just a bad system.
As I said, I don't think they're used enough, so let us know down below how you have used orcs in your setting, or not orcs, Oni in your setting.
If you've used them, I'd love to hear stories about them, because it's something that we don't really come across all that often. But I feel like
they should be used.
I feel like they don't have to be restricted to like an Oriental style setting.
No.
I feel like, honestly, you could westernize Oni very easily. And it would still work really well.
I'm going to butcher this. Sukumogami
we're already that deep into the video. I don't think anyone cares.
Sukumogami are pretty frightening conceptually, with any household object becoming sentient and hostile towards the owner if neglected long enough. Imagine waking up to all the items you had lost or forgotten over the years, trying to kill you.
So that's where hoarders come from? Do you think so? Maybe is that why they're... But then again, hoarders don't actually look after their stuff very well. They just like to...
So everything would just... That's probably why it all collapses on them and kills them.
Maybe that's where these stories come from. Maybe it is stories of hoarders dying. Like, stuff comes... Like, someone comes in, finds them, and they've just been crushed under mountains of, like, newspapers and dog food.
Giant disembodied feet that appear to people and demand to be washed. If they do, the foot disappears. If they don't, it trashes the place and then disappears.
Is this not... did Monty Python not do something like this?
Did they?
Yeah, the foot that came out of the sky. Do you know? Yeah, they did. They definitely did. And also, it's kind of like... what was that Studio Ghibli movie? The one where it's like they go to like a bathhouse. Spirited Away? It was Spirited Away, so it was, Do you remember the ghost that comes in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do you like models in your tabletop role-playing games? 'Cause we do too. Do you like having big bitty waifus on your table? 'Cause we do too. We got human biddies, we got lizard biddies, we got orc biddies, oni biddies, cat bussies. We've got everything you want at neckbeardia.co.uk.
Check the links down below, it helps us out a lot.
Sorry for interrupting the video, let's get on with the story. But last week's winner was this guy. Well done! Yay! Round of applause, everybody stands up and claps. But enough of that, let's get back to the video. Obvious things first. Lots of kami, ghosts, monsters, etc. are stirred up by foreigners running around, noisy factories, clear cutting for train tracks, etc. There are lots of opportunities for class-pilled stories. Maybe a bored pensioner samurai realised the textile mill down the road locks the factory girls in their dorm at night and conceals death from abuse and tuberculosis. It could be interesting to stress all the people who don't neatly fit into Japanese or Confucian hierarchy. In contrast, The Legend of the Five Rings, which basically tried to talk players out of wanting to be Ronin or ninja. Wako, Yakuza...
Yakuza.
Look, we all know what I'm like.
Yeah.
Prostitutes, Christian.
Is this Christians? Is this just Christians with like a weird Asian way of saying it?
Burakumin, that sort of thing.
No, I think that would be really cool. I'd be so into this.
Imagine me going to Japan. Konnichiwa!
You know what? This is going to probably be the only time I'm going to be able to tell this story. So one of my friends was a big weeb, so he was right.
Oh.
And he went into the Chinese. And he was getting...
Now the Chinese, like a Chinese takeaway.
Yeah, Chinese takeaway.
Chinese is the emphasis here.
Yeah, so he goes on in, and he says to the one behind the till, Konnichiwa, and they just look at him. Like, they just look at him. And you know the funniest thing is, over here, the Chinese, they're not even Chinese. They're mostly...
We've got wee Davy Lee down the road.
Do his accent, Megan.
And he's in his 50s, and he's like proper wee Chinese man. He owns a Chinese. His name's Davy Lee. And you go in, you're like, right, Davy, and he goes, oh, alright, mate, what about you? Good? What are you having tonight, mate? We tin of Fanta. Yeah, we tin of Fanta orange, or we Sprite.
That's unironically the exact way he talks. It's funny.
Alright, mate.
Oh, what's up, man? He has this weird, like, yeah, he does like a like whenever he speaks, it's really funny.
Right.
he's a really funny guy, so he's honestly really
like
cool.
The exact same pitch as well. Right.
But no, to get back on topic with all this, yeah, well, it's a point of massive change for Japanese culture, and there's so much you could do with this. Like, you know, whenever the old, like, you know, you need to remember this is like the equivalent of, like, you know, the 1400s slamming into 1900s at like breakneck speed over the course of like 30 years. You know, there's so much upheaval and change over that small period of time. It's kind of unreal, and I think that opens the door to so many adventures and stories that you could really work with. You know, the end of like, you know, the world is changing, the end of days sort of thing, or not the end of days, the end of a culture, really, which may as well be the end of days.
Consider this, and forgive me for using the punk term, but it makes setting up an aesthetic verbally easier. Shrine/temple punk.
Is there anything punk will not touch? I get what he's trying to say. I do get it, but
Meiji-era Japan, but a Japan where the cityscapes and villages are heavily influenced and incorporating temple and shrine designs. And with the Meiji era, the temple aesthetics is slowly bending in with the industrialization. Large Buddha statues sitting beneath smokestacks. Street trolleys winding through large shrines to various gods, where more Western aesthetic architecture is starting to pop up to replace the old school Japanese buildings. Large steam-chugging trains, gilded in gold with Shinto shrines designs blending into the iron horse locomotive body. The run-down edges of society being rotten and falling apart shrines, haunted by ghouls and yokai. Priests and maidens integrating the Meiji-era fashion trends into their robes. I think it could be a neat take on not just Meiji-era Japan, but Japan in general as a setting. The heavy spiritual and religious streak, forcefully being melded with Western encroachment and modernization.
Yeah, see, this is a bit that I would really love to see. And I think, you know, what was it? Was it Princess Mononoke? I feel like you guys are going to call me a big weed now, but I do feel like Princess Mononoke did a really beautiful job at this, like, you know, with guns and stuff, the way that they portrayed it, like, you know, killing gods and stuff like that. And I suppose, like, you know, industrialization kind of does kill gods in a weird sense, or maybe our modern world has, maybe it is killing gods by, like, you know, like, the less people that worship, the less strength that they actually have. You know, back on point. This is what I love about Meiji era. They had to adapt or die. It was either they kill their own culture and adopt a far more Western approach, or they get gobbled up by the West. If they're not able to adapt, they will just die. And that's one thing I will really give the Japanese so much credit for, is they're one of the, like, what, there was only like 3 other countries that didn't get that wasn't from Europe, that didn't get colonized.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give the Japanese incredible, like, you know, just for their ability to. Could you imagine that today? Look at how bad we're having that in this day and age. Like, you know, look at the difference boomers have to work than what most millennials and zoomers have.
Yeah.
You know, they've got this, boomers still have this idea of, oh yeah, you just, like, you know, go to college and apply for a job, and
then you buy a house.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, why
they're so out of touch with...
Oh, you know what, you just need to stop buying all that thingy and toast, what do you call it?
Avocado
yeah,
and toast.
You know,
Stop
that
buying avocado and toast and you can afford a house.
But you get what I'm on about. And even then, you know, the one that gets me the most is whenever they say, or not whenever they say, it's all the good jobs are in major cities. So even if you go there and you're getting paid way more than what you normally would, the cost of living is so high
that your money's just going into living
expenses. So what's the even point of getting this big high-end job?
I know.
But anyway, back on point, that's kind of what I'm really interested in. The complete overhaul of a society in such a short period of time. Like, you know, it took Western cultures hundreds of years to be able to do what the Japanese managed to achieve in 3 years. And again, the way that they go about this, like, you know, well, they look at the world and it's like, well, who's the best at what? Who's doing what? And they look at the British and it's like, okay, let's go copy their navy. And then they go to the Dutch, it's like, all right, let's copy their e-commerce. And then it's like, oh, the Germans, they got a banging army, let's copy them, you know? And then even then, whenever they do fight the Russians, they absolutely kick the bag out of the Russians. Like, they really do. And this is such an unheard of. And now you need to remember the type of world we're in, like, you know, the Victorian era. It's very, they've got, they're very racist, to say the least, you know what I mean? And the idea of these I can't really use the words that they would have used, but these lesser peoples from the darker continents being able to beat an army from the enlightened continents, that just doesn't happen. You know, and they've been doing it for so long at this point, the thought of them being able to actually win. And of course, the British and the French swoop in and essentially steal the Japanese win. Like, you know, the Japanese should have been able to do a lot more. Yeah. They should have got a lot more bargaining power after they won that war. But, of course, they're like, no.
Of course, the British and the French, like, oui.
The eternal anger constantly up to no good.
So apparently the Kappa loves cucumbers and sometimes kills people by reaching up their asses and tearing out a ball containing their soul. Given cucumbers are phallus-shaped and the prostate being reachable through the ass, I'm convinced Kappas are an elaborate mythological gay joke.
You know... Yeah, actually, whenever you put it like that, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I like, you know what? I think this should be what is it in? Like,
this is a great, like, demon.
Yeah, this is a good demon. You know what? I've never came across a horror story with a turtle man that
reaches up your ass, but like it fits.
I want it to be a thing, if any other guys, you know what, I really want to see, like, I would love a genuine monster manual. This is something I've been thinking about working on for a while, and we've been working on a bit of a meme monster manual, like, of just, like, using internet memes and turning them into, like, monsters and using them in games, but I want a really good, like, solid monster manual, really creative and really depraved. Different. Yeah, I want, like, monsters that I've never heard of.
Different than the usual crap.
Like, say if I see a monster manual and you've got, like, a goblin in it or something, it's like, do we really need another goblin stat block? We've got goblin stat blocks, and that's coming from someone who absolutely loves goblins. So you get what I'm trying to say, though. If any of you guys have any of your own that you've came across, please let me know. I might pick it up.
So I have a traveller setting that is basically Meiji Japan in space. The short version is after the obligatory long night, the various great powers enter the equivalent of the Far East looking for trade, land, and to outmaneuver the others for influence. One of these planets, Nifron, was a Tech 7, essentially Cold War, backwater, where regional warlords constantly fought each other, and there was a nominal emperor occasionally buying higher tech gear from passing free traders. In the 80 years since regular contact with the great powers, the nation has rapidly modernised, can produce TL-12 goods. The emperor has reinforced his authority, gotten rid of the traditional warrior class, and sent his navy to conquer a few nearby systems.
That's good, like copy and paste. I like that though, it works, yeah.
The setting's themes are based around the social and cultural conflict that has come from rapid technology and social change. The old guard hate that new technocrats copying foreign ways are growing in power, while the technocrats feel oppressed by the old guard who still hold a significant amount of wealth and political power. There is significant factionalism at all levels within the state, the military, business and society at large, with everyone one step from civil war, while at the same time looking outward to creating a local homogeny. Imperialism also plays into the setting. Nippon needs to become an imperialist great power to stop the other great powers from influencing the region. On the other hand, the great powers aren't necessarily monolithic villains. They have good points, dragging humanity out of the long night, uplifting local technology, and socially, bringing civilization to the savages, etc. Nippon has to tread a fine line until they're powerful enough to play one great power against another, or to stand alone, while also debating what sort of imperialist state they will become, again causing factional conflict.
You know what, this is the Japanese version of Spelljammer, and I love it.
Yeah.
I actually really like this, and again, this is literally, this is a thing with this area of Japan, it makes for an amazing backdrop for adventure. It's because, as I say, it's a time of great upheaval, a big time of change, and you're mixing so much weird stuff together. It actually works perfectly for a campaign setting. I really do wish I had played that Legend of the Five Rings game the boys were playing. I really wish it, but it was late at night. It was like near 3 a.m, and it was
he wasn't that old.
Yeah, no, he was far too young.
Yeah,
so I couldn't really do it, but looking back, I kind of wish I'd went for it.
Yeah,
I really do want to play a Legend of the Five Rings game. I would love this as even, like, there's so many different ones you could do. Like, I really like the idea of maybe even a Call of Cthulhu-esque. I feel like
Call of Cthulhu I think
actually
would work
works
really
so well. Tentacles just work in Japan. But you get
said everyone.
Yeah, but no, I think the setting's really cool. I think you could work a lot with it, and genuinely, it would be a way of making Japanese cool, but without making it hyper anime weeby.
Yeah.
I like Japan. I don't mind anime. I know we like to slag it off an awful lot, but it's only whenever it's like over the top, like little girls shouting at each other. You know,
that.
You know, and all that like flashing. Yeah, you see all that type of stuff. I'm not interested. But I do feel like the Japanese are amazing storytellers. They really do have something else, especially horror. They are
very
top of their
horror.
game. And when it comes to any suspense and stuff, the Japanese just know how to do it really well. They know what works.
The Japanese versions of The Ring and The Grudge were, I think, one of the first horror movies I'd watched, like properly watched. I was terrified, absolutely terrified, and they're the reasons why I'm such a horror geek today.
Yeah, I suppose it probably would be. Yeah, I would say so. But I do think the Japanese the Japanese do some things so light, it's not even funny. Like, they just are so competent at certain things. Also, this is one thing I was meaning to bring up earlier. So everyone knows about the samurai getting all killed, essentially, with that whole rebellion. And this is one of the things that I always find really fascinating. So not all samurai died in that rebellion, but a lot of them did. But the ones that didn't, you know, and again, at this time period, the samurai aren't really warriors at this point. Like, you know, they've turned more and more into like desk jockeys or administrative works. And I really love that. A good few of them, like, you know, a lot of the big companies that we know today, I know definitely Mitsubishi is anyway, but Mitsubishi is a samurai name, and that's what they've done. Like, you know, they've taken that code of Bushido but applied it to business, which I find really fascinating. Could you imagine what Europe would be like if knights had turned industry? You know what I mean? And they had used like, you know, their knightly code or like honors and stuff like that, and applied that to business.
It into business, yeah.
Because I think it's things that could easily work well, and like a lot of businessmen still do lead the art of war because it does apply, and you can use the art of war with sports or anything. It's really fascinating. It's definitely something to check out, which of course I'm sure most of you guys, you told me, yeah, no, let's be serious, you guys have that. Yeah, but I would definitely say check out Bushido as well, because it is really cool, and I think you can apply it to far more than just like a warrior code of conduct. I think it's really cool. But anyway, like, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Again, we're complete amateurs when it comes to Japan. I just find it kind of
I'm sure a lot of you guys know far more than what we do.
Yeah, you as well. So if you have any,
but yes, let us know about the whole Oni thing down below, because I'd be really interested
or
in
just
reading it.
Or
Japanese
other
ideas.
Monsters, because I don't really know much. I don't know much about Japanese folklore. Bits and pieces, like, you know, not much.
Yeah, like, bits and pieces, but while you're down there, check out the website, because we do have a sale on, guys. It's 30% off.
Oh, it really does help us out a lot, because if we be completely honest with you guys, we've been getting demonetized like absolutely mad. The YouTube ad rates are way down because the economy is really bad, and honestly, it's not looking. I think I'm going to be going back to working a normal job anyway, because I don't really like working something that's so market dependent.
Exactly.
Especially when you've got a child.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's different now because we'll have him.
Yeah, we can. I just don't want to do this sort of thing anymore. I want to get out of the YouTube at least, honestly.
I know. The models at the minute are keeping us afloat.
Yeah.
So with the 30% off sale, go and have a look. Use code SALE30 at checkout to get that. And we don't just sell pin-ups.
Yeah, we've got a lot more.
We got a lot more than
also,
that.
we got...
and there's so much new stuff up. James put a lot of new stuff up. So go over, have a wee peruse, have a browse.
Put it like this, I guarantee you, the site's near doubled in size since the last time you've checked. I guarantee that. But yeah, as I say, like, you know, it's the joys of YouTube, you know what I mean? But we'll get there, you know what I mean? We'll work it out, but go ahead, check it out. It does help us out to no end.
So yeah, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
All those moments will be lost in time.